안녕하세요. You are going to learn how to make verb clause modifier in the present tense in this video. Let's go. Let's learn about how to make a clause modify a word, especially a noun. As we told you, even a clause comes right before the word that is modified in Korean. That's a big difference from English. Think about these three sentences on this page. Korean food that I like. A person who speaks Korean. A reason why I study Korean. That I like, who speaks Korean, and why I study Korean parts are clauses that are used as modifiers and that we're gonna learn about. These clauses change, describe, classify, specify, or restrict the meaning of the word which is modified. That, who, and why have their roles and there are grammatical terms for them in English. But let's not even mention about the English grammatical terms. It's not necessary. Plus, you don't use such grammatical element in Korean at all. We'll tell you more specifically very soon. As you know, there should be a verb or be verb in an English clause. Sometimes subject to. It's the same in Korean. There has to be a verb or an adjective as a predicate in a clause. Yes, sometimes subject to. Since there is a verb or an adjective in a clause, you can input the tense in it, right? It's the same in English. We'll cover them all in this lesson. But let's talk about a clause in the present simple tense with a verb first. Why this one first? Because it's the easiest one to learn. As we did with an adjective and adverb modifier, let's find out the most basic rule first. Stem plus 는. What does that mean? When the predicate in a clause is a verb and it's in the present simple tense, you always add 는 to the stem. Again, you just need to add 는 to the end of the stem when the predicate in a clause is a verb and is in the present simple tense. Then it will turn the entire clause into a modifier. Okay, let's try this rule with the sentence Korean food that I like. We are going to use that I like part as a modifier, which modifies Korean food part in a Korean sentence. So you need to position that I like part before Korean food part. That I like Korean food. That I like part is a clause. It has its own subject and a verb. When you translate a clause, you should translate it as you translate another independent sentence, no matter how many words the clause has. The verb like is a predicate of a clause, not a predicate of an entire sentence. So it doesn't go to the end of the sentence. That I like part and Korean food part are separate, and that I like part modifies Korean food part as if it is an adjective. So just translate that I like and Korean food separately. We don't translate the first word that. Let's just ignore it. Why? We'll tell you. Please listen carefully. We've already decided not to use English grammatical terms. You don't have to know any of them. Do you non-native English speakers know the reason why that, which, when, where, who, how, and why are used in these kinds of sentences in English? It's mainly because English clause modifier follows the principle of post modifier, which means modifier clause comes after the word that is modified. Furthermore, sometimes another element in the sentence intervening between clause modifier and the word that is modified. So it is necessary to indicate the word which is modified exactly using that, which, when, where, who, how, and why. But in Korean, clause modifier comes right before the word that is modified. Therefore, you rather need to add something at the end of a clause, such as the particle 는 that we are learning on this page. Normally, when that, which, when, where, who, how, and why are used to indicate or imply a word that is modified in English. You don't have to translate them. We will talk about this again, don't worry. Now you understand better about the grammatical difference between English and Korean, right? The point is, you don't have to translate that here, okay? I is 저, but we want to use the subject particle 가 to emphasize the fact that this is me who like Korean food. So 저 becomes 제 and add 가, 제가 like. This is a verb of a clause. As we've just said, find the stem and add 는 sound. The basic form of the verb like is 좋아하다, as you know very well. And the stem of it is 좋아하, right? So just add 는 sound at the end of it. 좋아하는, 좋아하는. Perfect. Korean food. When Korean is used to mean something or someone belonging or relating to Korea or to their people, language, or culture, we use the same translation of Korea, the name of the country. 한국 for Korean, okay? Otherwise, you need to add a possessive particle 의, but let's not talk about it here. Food is 음식. So Korean food is 한국 음식. 제가 like, 좋아하는 Korean food, 한국 음식. 제가 좋아하는 한국 음식. Korean food that I like. It's easier than you expected, isn't it? Let's learn the rest one by one. Let's make extra sentences based on what we've just learned. Let's see the first sentence. My friend that I believe will not betray me. You can use who too, right? My friend who I believe will not betray me. Because my friend is a person. We don't care which one you use in English, who or that. You can even use neither of them. You can omit them. Anyway, we don't care about English grammar, but a friend is a person, human being. That's the thing that actually matters. Remember that. Let's rearrange the words first. What is the subject of this sentence? My friend is the subject, but that I believe part modifies my friend part. Therefore, that I believe part should come before the subject my friend. Will not betray me. Me is an object of the verb betray. So me comes first, and then will betray not comes at the end. It is actually going to be betray not and will. Betray not will, because in Korean you add additional element such as an ending at the end of the word. So it is going to be betray not will. Well, you can position not first, like not betray will. If it's too hard for you to translate betray not will, because there will be more letters in it. It will make sense too, but maybe it's because of the fact that the main verb is a noun plus 하다 verb. It goes better with betray not. We mentioned about this before because in many cases, a noun plus 하다 verb goes better with the post-negation, a predicate plus not, than pre-negation, not plus a predicate. In many cases, not most of the cases, just many cases. Anyway, sentence structure is going to be in a Korean sentence like that I believe, my friend, me, betray not will. Let's translate that I believe part first. We told you that you just need to translate it as you translate another sentence which has independent subject and verb. We don't translate that nor who. I is 저, but we want to use a subject particle 가. You might want to ask why we keep using a subject particle, not an auxiliary particle. Well, it will sound a little bit weird if we put a nuance of comparing to the subject of the clause that I believe, because it will sound like I believe, but others don't believe. So if you want to add a nuance of I believe, but others don't believe, it would be totally okay to use the auxiliary particle 는, okay? I is 저, but when it combines with the subject particle 가, it changes to 제가. Believe. The basic form of the verb believe is 믿다. The stem is 믿. You just need to add a 는 sound to the stem, and it will turn the entire clause into a modifier. 제가 믿는. And it modifies the subject of the sentence, my friend. My is 저의 or 제. Let's use shorter one, 제, because we all prefer shorter ones in any language. Friend is 친구. My friend, 제 친구. That I believe. 제가 믿는. My friend, 제 친구. 제가 믿는 제 친구. My friend that I believe. Which particle do you want to add to the subject of the sentence, my friend? You can add a subject particle, 가. That's totally fine. But we want to give the sentence a nuance of, even though all the people in the world betray me, my friend will not betray me. So let's add the auxiliary particle, 는. 제가 믿는 제 친구는. Me, it's an object of the entire sentence. Me is 저, the same as I, and an object particle, 를, 저를. Betray not, will. Let's translate betray not first, and then add a modal will at the end of it. The basic form of the verb betray is 배신하다. The stem is 배신하. We need to add 지 않아요 to make it betray not. 배신하지 않아요. But we need to add auxiliary verb, modal, will, too. Final 르 or 을 sound plus 거예요 is the translation of will. We only keep repeating things we've already learned at level 1. You will miss it later. Betray not. 배신하지 않아요. See this 않아요 part. It's from the predicate 않다, and the stem is 안. Here, 흐 consonant in the final is a silence. Even though you don't know the basic form of 않아요, you can find the stem because you can find out that this is 안 plus 아요. Therefore, 안 must be the stem. You add will, 을 거예요 to the stem 안 을 거예요. So, betray not, 배신하지 않, and will, 을 거예요. 배신하지 않을 거예요. That I believe, 제가 믿는, my friend, 제 친구는, me, 저를, betray not will, 배신하지 않을 거예요. 제가 믿는 제 친구는 저를 배신하지 않을 거예요. 제가 믿는 제 친구는 저를 배신하지 않을 거예요. 제가 믿는 제 친구는 저를 배신하지 않을 거예요. Perfect. Let's see the next sentence. I am looking for someone who speaks Korean. Let's rearrange the words. The subject of the sentence is I. Someone is an object. And who speaks Korean modifies a noun someone. Therefore, you should put who speaks Korean part right before a noun someone. I, who speaks Korean. Someone, am looking for. I, 저는. Why do we use the auxiliary particle 는 here? Well, actually in spoken Korean, we don't really mention about the subject when the listener knows whom the speaker is talking about. Especially when the subject is first person I or second person you. But given the auxiliary particle 는, which has already added to the subject of the sentence, we can find out that the speaker wants to add a nuance of comparing, implying, I don't know what you and other people do, but I am looking for someone who speaks Korean. But if someone asks you, who's looking for someone who speaks Korean? You might have to use the subject particle 가, implying, I am the one who's looking for someone who speaks Korean. Do you understand the nuance? Let's move on. Who speaks Korean? Who is used as a subject this time, but don't worry, you still don't use it in a Korean sentence as long as who speaks Korean part modifies another word. Korean is an object in a clause. Therefore, you position the subject who first, and then an object of the clause, Korean, and then a verb of the clause, speaks. We still don't translate the subject who. Why? Because the entire clause is used to modify a noun someone. Who here is grammatical element that is used in English, not Korean. There's no word which works like who here in Korean. It just indicates a noun someone which is modified. That's why it's clear then. Korean language is 한국말 or 한국어. Let's use 한국말 this time. The basic form of the verb speak is 말하다. 말하다. The stem is 말하. Let's add 는 sound to turn the entire clause into a modifier. 말하는, 말하는, 한국말, 말하는, 한국말, 말하는. But 한국말 has 말 sound and 말하는 also has the same 말 sound. And they are the same word 말, which means speech or word. Not because these two words have the same sound, but because they have the same part which has the same meaning. You can get rid of one 말 sound from the verb 말하다 and use just 하다 part in some cases. It happens when you use the verb like say, speak, tell, or talk with an object such as a story or a language. So, 한국말 하는, 한국말 하는 would be totally fine. 한국말 하는, who speaks Korean. Someone, let's just use a person, 사람, and add the object particle 을, 사람을, 사람을, 사람을. We told you that you can translate someone into 누구, which is the same translation of the interrogative who. Yes, you can use 누구 here too. 누구를, 누구를. If it's okay to use 누구, it might be okay to use the higher respect form of 누구. 어떤 분, 어떤 분. Yes, you can use it. But it sounds like you know who he or she is when you use 누구 instead of a person, 사람. When you use a person, 사람, it sounds more like you are looking for an unspecified person. So let's use a person, 사람. Am looking for. To look for or find is 찾다. 찾다 in Korean, which means to search for somebody or something either because you have lost them or because you need them. It's in the present continuous tense, so let's add 고 있어요 to the stem 찾. 찾고 있어요. 찾고 있어요. I, 저는 who Korean speaks 한국말 하는 a person 사람을 am looking for 찾고 있어요. 저는 한국말 하는 사람을 찾고 있어요. Can you believe you're able to make this kind of difficult sentence now? Well, I believe. It's getting difficult, but don't you think it's getting more exciting at the same time? Only me again? Okay, let's learn how to say this is what I like in Korean. Listen carefully. Grammatically, it's really interesting. Not difficult at all though. What I like part is a clause, but can't really say that the entire what I like part modifies anything. The truth is, I like part modifies what? Do you understand what it means? We'll tell you more specifically. This is what I like. Take a close look at this sentence again one more time. What is the most basic sentence which this sentence came from? This is something, which is in the sentence pattern number 3. You'd intuitively know that we're gonna use 예요 or 이에요. Anyway, we are talking about something. This is something. Something that I like. That I like part is a modifier which modifies something, right? So the same thing applies to this sentence. This is what I like. I like part modifies what? Well, it actually not, but we can say that based on the Korean grammar. Again, we can say I like part modifies what in this sentence, and we can translate this sentence based on that. Keep that in mind. So this is what I like means exactly the same as this is the one that I like. That I like part modifies the one, or this is something that I like. That I like part modifies something. Okay? Fully understood? We will repeat one more time so that you will never forget. This is the one that I like. As that I like part modifies the one part in this sentence, this is the one that I like. This is what I like. I like part modifies what in this sentence? This is what I like. So whichever sentence you translate, this is what I like or this is the one that I like, that will make the same translation in Korean. Therefore, we strongly recommend you should always talk like the second sentence. This is the one that I like. It will make more sense to you. This is the first time we talk about this. Therefore, let's translate both of the sentences together for the first time and the last time. Let's take a look at the second sentence first. Let's rearrange the words. The pronoun this comes first because it's the subject. The one is a complement. Therefore, it will position right before the verb is. That I like part is a modifier, which modifies a complement, the one. Therefore, it will position right before the complement, the one. This, that I like, the one, is. This is 이것, 이것. Yes, you can use 이거 too. No problem in spoken Korean. Let's add a particle, 이. 이것, 이. 이것이. Yes, 이게 is fine too. That I like. We don't translate that. Let's ignore it. I is 저. But we're gonna add the subject particle 가. So it will become 제가. Like. 좋아하 is the stem. Add 는 sound to it. It will turn it into a modifier when it is the present simple tense. 좋아하는. 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 The one. We learned the dependent noun 것 in lesson 5, part 5. It's a dependent noun. It can be the translation of the English pronoun one. Let's read the white box together. 것 is used to refer to an object without using its name. Or 것 turns a verb or an adjective into a noun. Let's learn about the second usage in this lesson again. So you can translate the one into 것, because one here is also used to indicate an object without using its name. is, 이에요. Cut in the former block has a final consonant. Therefore, you should use 이에요. This, 이것이, I like, 제가 좋아하는, the one, cut, is, 이에요. 이것이 제가 좋아하는 것이에요. 이것이 제가 좋아하는 것이에요. This is the one that I like. Okay, let's see the first sentence then. This is what I like. The pronoun this comes first, and the be verb is comes at the end of the sentence. As we told you, just think of what as a noun, and I like modifies it. So I like part comes first, and what comes after. This, I like, what, is. This, 이것이, I like. This is modifying what part? 제가 좋아하는. Add 는 sound to the stem because it's in the present simple tense. What? This is very important. Please listen carefully. When what, where, who, when, how, or why is not used as an interrogative to make a question, please don't use the translation of the interrogatives, okay? We'll tell you when you can use the translation of the interrogatives in a sentence like this. Until then, use the way we teach here. So, what here is not used to make a question. It is used to indicate an object without using its name. So you can use the same 것 sound. 것 is, 이에요. This, 이것이, 이것이. I like, 제가 좋아하는. What, 것 is, 이에요. 이것이 제가 좋아하는 것이에요. 이것이 제가 좋아하는 것이에요. Okay? You see what we meant now? So please try to make a sentence in the second way all the time. It's much easier for you. Let's see the next sentence. This is the person who I like, or that I like. First of all, Koreans don't use the direct translation of this, 이것, to a person unless they are very angry. So let's add a word which falls under the human category right after the pronoun this, such as a man. This man is the person who I like or that I like. What we keep trying to say here is the person part cannot be taken off in these kinds of Korean sentences, and that I like part modifies the person. Modifiers, no matter whether it's an adjective or a clause, have to have a word that is modified. You cannot omit the word that is modified in Korean. Okay? That's the point. So you cannot translate this is who I like, this is who I am, this is what I like directly because there is no word which works like who, what, or that in these kinds of English sentences. That's why you always have to make a sentence like, this man is the person that I like or who I like. You're not going to translate who or that anyway. Got it? You can use other nouns instead of a person, of course, as you do in English. But when you talk about a human, it is common to use a person, 사람. Okay? This man that I like, the person, is. This man, 이 남자가, that I like. We don't translate that. I, 제가, like, 좋아하는, the person, 사람, is, 이에요. 이 남자가 제가 좋아하는 사람이에요. 이 남자가 제가 좋아하는 사람이에요. This man is the person that I like. Perfect. It's nothing, right? Just remember that you have to add a noun after the pronoun this in Korean. You cannot say this is the person that I like. You should add a noun to the subject. For example, this man, this woman, this chick, this dude, or this crazy person. Because this sentence is in the English sentence pattern number 3. The subject equals the complement. This or that or it means an object or a thing in Korean. That's why you should make the subject look like a person when the complement is a person. Then why did we not add anything to the first example? This is the one that I like. Because we told you that the one indicates an object already, a thing, okay? So we didn't have to add anything to this because the translation of this, 이것, already contains the word 것, which means a thing, okay? Very good. We're gonna learn something like this more, don't worry. Let's see what we saw in the previous page one more time. This is what I like. We told you that in a Korean sentence, what is modified by I like part and what is also used to refer to an object or a thing without using its name. So since Korean language doesn't have any grammatical elements like what in this kind of sentence, we told you that it is much better for you to think about the sentence like this is the one that I like when you make a Korean sentence like this. This is what I like and this is the one that I like will make the same translation anyway. And both what and the one part will be translated into the same noun, 것. We learned about this. We like to call this 것 noun a representative noun. That's not an official grammatical name. Only our learning material uses this term, but it will help you make this kind of sentence easy after listening to our explanation on this page. Anyway, let's just call it a representative noun. Because of the fact that you cannot get rid of the word that is modified in Korean, it would be very convenient if there is a one representative noun which you can automatically use as if you use what, who, where, how, why, and when. Do you know what it means? Again, as you know, in Korean, when you want to use a modifier, no matter whether it's an adjective or a clause, you must position a word which is modified right after the modifier. You cannot omit the word which is modified. You cannot get rid of it. So it would be much more convenient if there is a one noun which can represent the entire noun so that you can automatically use it without extra thinking. As if you use who when the modified word is a human and where when the modified word is a place. So when the sentence has the structure of subject, be verb, modified noun, and modifier in English, you can always use the same word as a modified noun according to the type of the subject. Now you understand what we are trying to teach, right? So when the subject is an object, this is not a grammatical term object. It means a thing. So when the subject is a thing, so that a modified noun should be a thing too, you use 것. We learned about this in the previous page. This is not a rule, but it can be conveniently used. And when we learned about the colloquial form of this, that, and it, you saw that 이것 became 이거, 저것 became 저거, and 그것 became 그거. Do you remember? 것 sound changed to 거 sound in spoken Korean. So you can use 거 sound instead of 것 sound here too. Let's see the next one. This is also something we've already learned. When the subject is a word which is in the human category, so that the modified noun should be a word in the human category too, you can simply use 사람, which means a person, or 분, which is the higher respect form of 사람. It's nothing, right? Let's see the next one. When the subject is a place-related noun, so that the modified noun should be also a place-related noun, you can simply use 장소, which is the direct translation of the noun place. And there's one more. 곧. 곧. This is something like 것, which refers to a thing. 곧 with a O vowel refers to a place without using its name. So you can use either 장소 or 곧. Of course, 곧 is used more commonly in a real-life conversation because it's shorter. We'll see at least one example for each. So please don't be too anxious even though you don't understand what we are talking about very well. Let's see the next one. When the subject is a word which is in the method category, which is very rare, so that the modified noun should be also about a method or a way, you can use 방법, 방법, which is the direct translation of the noun method, way, or means. You can also just use 법, which is taken out from 방법. This 법 cannot be used alone as an independent noun, while 방법 can be. Be careful about that. As we always say, if it's too much, just remember 방법 for now. Making conversation is more important than being fluent for now. You can say that you use this noun 방법 or 법 instead of how in this type of the sentence. 방법 or 법. The next one is EU. EU, like European Union, which is the direct translation of the noun reason. You can use it as a representative noun of the sentence which is about a reason. For example, you can make a sentence like, is this the reason why you didn't call me last night? With this noun EU, okay? Yes, you'll be able to make a real question like this on your own after this lesson. Let's see the last one. When the subject is time-related noun, so that the modified noun should also be a time-related noun, you can use 시간, 시간, which is the direct translation of the noun time. There is one more. 때, 때. 때 can be used more widely because 시간 means time, but 때 means the moment when you do something. So 때 can cover a wider range of time-related nouns. Time thing is a little bit complicated. Let's learn more specifically later. So Korean sentence structure is going to be like subject, modifier, representative noun, and a verb. Difficult? We are explaining about the grammar-ish stuff, so it sounds a little bit complicated, but you will understand better as soon as you see some examples. Remember that things we've seen in this page are not fixed rules. You can use any noun as a modified noun, but if you learn this, it will help you make these kind of sentences a little bit easier. This room is the place where I study or in which I study. We don't really care whether you use where or in which in English because we are not going to translate where nor in which anyway. Those are grammatical elements used in English, not Korean. Even if you say, this room is the place that I study in, it wouldn't matter. The important thing is, we are talking about a place. And where I study part modifies the place part. And you cannot omit the place part in Korean. So we are going to use a representative noun that we've just learned for the place part which is modified. This room is the place. The subject equals the complement. This sentence is in the English sentence pattern number 3. So you can use the predicate 이에요 or 예요. Okay? Let's reposition the words. The subject, this room, comes first. Where I study part modifies the place part. Therefore, where I study part comes right before the place part. And be verb is comes at the end of the sentence. This room, where I study, the place is. This room. Room is 방, 방 in Korean. This here is used as a determiner, so it cannot be 이것. It's not 이것. We just use 이 sound. This room, 이 방, 이 방. And the subject particle, 이 방이, 이 방이. Where I study, we don't translate where. I is 저. But we like to use the subject particle 가. So 제가. Study. The basic form of the verb study is 공부하다. The stem is 공부하. Let's add 는 sound to the stem so that the entire clause turns into a modifier. 제가 공부하는. Where I study. The place. As we've just learned, let's use the direct translation of place. 장소. is. The former block 소 of 장소 doesn't have a final consonant, so you should use 예요 rather than 이에요. This room, 이 방이. Where I study. 제가 공부하는. The place. 장소. is. 예요. 이 방이 제가 공부하는 장소예요. 이 방이 제가 공부하는 장소예요. Great. Then let's use 곳, which is the other representative noun for place. 곳. This room. 이 방이. I study. 제가 공부하는. The place. 곳. is. 이예요. The former block 곳 has a final consonant, so you should use 이에요 this time. 이 방이 제가 공부하는 곳이에요. 이 방이 제가 공부하는 곳이에요. Perfect. A place is not a human, it's a sort of an object. Then can we use the direct translation of the pronoun this? 이것 alone this time? Well, we'll never say never, but we don't recommend it. Korean people don't really use 이것 this for place because they have a special noun for a place. 곳. Okay? If you don't want to use a specific noun for a subject, you can use a representative noun both for a subject and a modified noun. It doesn't sound so weird in Korean. For example, this place is the place where I study. Let's use the same word 곳 for the subject and the modified noun. This place, 이곳이, where I study, 제가 공부하는. The place, 곳, is, 이에요. 이곳이, 제가 공부하는 곳이에요. 이곳이 제가 공부하는 곳이에요. Yes, it's totally fine. It's much better than using 이것 with the cut sound. 곳 is used to refer to a place without using its name. cut with the vowel is used to refer to a thing without using its name. Okay? However, as it sounds a little bit weird to use the same noun twice in the same sentence in English, it doesn't sound so smooth to use the same noun in the same sentence in Korean either. So just try to avoid using the same noun in the same sentence. You can actually use any place-related word interchangeably. For example, this place, 이 장소가, where I study, 제가 공부하는, the place, 곳, is, 이에요. 이 장소가 제가 공부하는 곳이에요. Or, this place, 이곳이, I study, 제가 공부하는, the room, 방, is, 이에요. 이곳이 제가 공부하는 방이에요. Yes, you can replace the modified representative noun, the place, with a different noun, the room. It's totally fine. It's totally fine in English and it's totally fine in Korean. We taught you the representative nouns because we want to make it a little bit simpler for you. Because of the fact that you cannot omit the noun which is modified in Korean, we think it'd be nice to have one common noun you can use all the time. Plus, we like to make things routinized so that you can learn Korean a little bit easier. Let's see the next sentence. This is the way how I study. If you are a native English speaker, you might want to say you don't really use the way and how together. Okay? You can get rid of how or replace it with that. We don't mind at all because we are not gonna use it in a Korean sentence anyway. This time, it is okay to use this, 이것 alone, because there is no special noun only for a way or a method, as there is for person, a place, or time-related words. Let's rearrange the words. This comes first because it's a subject. How I study part comes right before the way part because it modifies the way. But we are not gonna translate how, so it's actually useless in a Korean sentence. And the be verb is comes at the end of the sentence. This, 이것. Let's use the subject particle 이. 이것이. 이것이. How I study. We don't translate how. I, 제가, study, 공부하는, 제가 공부하는. Because of the fact that we don't translate how, the translation of how I study part is the same as that of where I study part. So it's gonna be even the same as what I study, when I study, or why I study, right? So it's easier than English, which uses different words according to the noun that is modified, right? The way is 방법, 방법, which is the direct translation of the noun way, or 법, which is taken out from the noun 방법. This one letter, 법, cannot be used as an independent noun. Is, the formal block 법 has a final consonant. Therefore, we use 이에요. This, 이것이, how I study, or I study. 제가 공부하는, the way, 방법, is, 이에요. 이것이 제가 공부하는 방법이에요. Or, 이것이 제가 공부하는 법이에요. 이것이 제가 공부하는 법이에요. You can use the colloquial form of 이것이, which is 이게. 이게 제가 공부하는 법이에요. 이게 제가 공부하는 법이에요. We don't care which one you think is the translation of 방법, how or the way. Anyway, the point is, it cannot be understood. You cannot get rid of 방법 in a Korean sentence. That's the point. Now you already know the mechanism of this kind of sentences, don't you? Let's see the next sentence. This is the reason why I study. This time, again, it is okay to use this, 이것, alone, because there is no special noun only for a reason, as there is for a human, or place, or time-related words. The sentence structure is going to be this, why I study, the reason, is. This is 이것. We're gonna use the subject particle 이 because the formal block 것 has a final consonant. Why I study. Yes, correct. You don't need why in a Korean sentence. I study. 제가 공부하는. The reason. 이유. Is. The formal block U of EU doesn't have a final consonant. Therefore, you should use 예요 this time. This, 이것이, why I study, 제가 공부하는, the reason, 이유, is, 예요. 이것이 제가 공부하는 이유예요. You can also use the colloquial form of 이것이, which is 이게. 이게 제가 공부하는 이유예요. 이게 제가 공부하는 이유예요. Let's learn about the sentence which has a time-related noun modified. As we told you, time-related things can be a little bit tricky. So listen carefully. Let's see the English sentence first. Sunday is the day when I rest. The subject is Sunday. The day is used as a modified noun because we are talking about a day here. Let's rearrange the sentence first. Sunday comes first because it's a subject. when I rest part modifies the day part. So when I rest part comes right before a noun, the day. And be verb is comes at the end of the sentence. Sunday, when I rest, the day is. Sunday is 일요일, 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 일요일. Maybe it's a little bit difficult for you to pronounce this. 일요일, 일요일. Let's use the subject particle 이. You can also use the auxiliary particle 은, you know that. It will just change the nuance of the sentence if we use the auxiliary particle 은. Like, Sunday is not the day when I work. It's the day when I rest. When I rest. We don't translate when here because the entire when I rest part modifies the day part. 제가 rest. The basic form of the verb rest is 쉬다, 쉬다. The stem is she. So you just need to add 는 sound to it to turn the entire when I rest part into a modifier. So 제가 쉬는, 제가 쉬는. The day. Yes, there is a translation of a day for this particular usage. It's 날. 날 means also one of the 724 hours periods of time in a week. And it is the best to use 날 here because we are talking about Sunday, which is one of the 724-hour periods of time in a week. But since it is a little bit hard for you to remember all the time-related words for now, you can just use 때 as a representative modified noun for now. It's okay most of the time. 때 doesn't have a one fixed meaning. It has the meaning of the moment when the action takes place. It can cover a wide range of time-related nouns. Yes, you can use 시간 too. It would not be a big problem. But 시간 has a specific meaning, time. So it's better to use 시간 when you want to use the noun time in the sentence. Got it? So we're gonna use 때 this time, okay? is. The formal block 때 doesn't have any final consonant. So you can use 예요, Sunday, 일요일이, I rest, 제가 쉬는, the day, 때, is, 예요. 일요일이 제가 쉬는 때예요. 일요일이 제가 쉬는 때예요. Sunday is the day when I rest. Let's see the next sentence. This is the time when the sun rises. Is there someone who remembers that 이것 cannot be used to indicate time in Korean? When you talk about time, you should use a proper time-related noun, such as time, day, now, or tomorrow. So let's put a noun, time, to the subject one more time. This time is the time when the sun rises. But you know that it's always better not to use the same noun in the same sentence. So let's use 때 for the subject time and 시간, which actually means time for the modified noun time. The sentence structure is going to be in a Korean sentence like this time when the sun rises, the time is. Are you following us? This time, let's use 때 for this. 이때가, when the sun rises. The sun is 해 or 태양. Let's use 해 because it's more commonly used. 해가 with the subject particle 가. 해가. Rise. The basic form of the verb rise is 뜨다. 뜨다. 뜨 is the stem. Let's add 는 sound to the stem 뜨. 해가 뜨는. 해가 뜨는. when the sun rises. The time. Let's use the direct translation of the noun time. 시간 is. The formal block 간 has a final consonant. So you should use 이에요. 이때가. This time. 해가 뜨는. When the sun rises. 시간. The time. 이에요. is. 이때가 해가 뜨는 시간이에요. 이때가 해가 뜨는 시간이에요. This is the time when the sun rises. So we can see that there is no problem to use 때 and 시간 interchangeably. Next sentence. In Korean, now and tomorrow are used as a noun very often. Now is the time when the sun rises. When you talk about a certain point in time, you use the exact time or now or tomorrow as a subject very often in Korean, and it's not strange. It's actually preferred. Now, when the sun rises, the time is. Now is 지금. Yeah, it can be a verb, but it also can be a noun in Korean. It's the same in English. Now, 지금, 이, the subject particle, 이. When the sun rises, 해가 뜨는, the time, 시간, or you can use 때 if you want, is, 이에요. 지금이 해가 뜨는 시간이에요. Now is the time when the sun rises. To wrap up, you can use any time-related noun as a modified noun, but for now, it is just okay to use 때 or 시간. So when you want to say time, you can use 시간. Otherwise, you just use 때. 시간 and 때 can be used interchangeably anyway. People will not fail to understand what you are talking about. This is the end of YouTube version lesson 6 part 2. You're going to learn about verb clause modifiers in the past tense, adjective clause modifiers in the present tense, and in the past tense in the upcoming videos. 그럼 다음 비디오에서 만나요. 안녕히 계세요.